All right, today we are going to be checking out the early access of Gigantes Ex Machina. This is a fast-paced, top-down arena shooter with mechs. Game looks pretty cool. I've played quite a bit. The devs reached out to me to take a look at this game. I was given a code. No money exchanged hands or anything like that, and you know, it's not going to have any impact on what I say about the game, but I just wanted to kind of start a precedent on the channel of being very transparent about such things, just because I know some people like to know that. Anyways, getting started into the game. So something that definitely sets this game apart from other games kind of in this close genre is it is more story driven than I would have expected. And that being said, it's not the most story driven thing ever, but it definitely has a lot more than you'd expect. It is in Korean. They have voiceovers for the Korean, but it has not been dubbed in English yet or translated to English yet, and I don't know if they will have voiceovers in English or not upon full release. So far, though, I've been having a fantastic time. We're going to jump into arcade mode here, because honestly, I'm here to show the action, not the story. Don't get me wrong, the story is not bad. It is somewhat typical fare for your mech future war kind of stories, you know? Classic, you have a faction trying to kind of bring enlightenment to humanity and advance mankind, and there's factions against them, and you get in mechs and shoot a lot of people and a lot of tanks. So what we are going to look at is some of the upgrades. So this is one of the mechs. This is the tank one. You start off with this guy here. It's your all-arounder. Then there's two others so far in the early access that I've unlocked. There's Aerial. This one's kind of cool. It turns into like a jet. So it'd actually be really cool if I could just increase this thing's boost and you just fly around as a jet. But we're going to go with Argus because I like being a big chunky boy with the pew-pews. All right, that's what's going to be happening here. So we are going to be taking a look at the upgrades. So all of the upgrades are done in this somewhat peculiar system where you have meta progression currency up in the top. These are used to buy these upgrades. There are even more meta upgrades that these are used to buy out in like the main menu. I can show those a bit later. Around here, you can see how you might want to set up your mech. So right now it has the titanium armor in the middle, so that's 200 armor, and then +5 ballistic resistance, okay? We can go over here and we could get nanite armor, which is 100 armor, but +10 protective armor. I'm not quite sure what the difference between armor and protective armor is, but that could be interesting. We might check that out. And then over here, you have your reflective armor and your light armor. So this is going to be movement speed and things like that. I don't know if I'm going to check out that armor yet. We're going to come down here. You have your frames, so you can go assault frames for more acceleration, compact frame for more rotation speed. But right now, I'm on standard frame, which has hull integrity and energy resistance. So again, this is a lot of tank for this guy. Then you have the core. So the core affects your meta progression currency earned, as well as like rerolls and things, as well as your sync rate and sync cap. Sync is just this game's version of XP. So your sync rate means you're going to get more XP, and your sync cap means you are going to be able to level higher. There is a cap on how hard you can level within a match. Come down here. You have your thrusters. This is, you know, usually used to dodge or accelerate, but you can kind of look at it either way. This I'm probably just going to leave alone. And then you have your data circuit, which I will definitely touch. So I can get particle, you can start with certain abilities, which is nice. I can get particle diffuser or energy repair. Or emergency repair. Emergency repair is just kind of like an auto health potion that pops when you take a certain amount of damage. And particle diffuser is a shield against enemies' skills. Most importantly, their energy attacks. So we're going to go with that, actually. I had that on my last build, and I quite enjoyed it. We're going to come down here. So we have our weapons. We have twin miniguns, which is pretty awesome. We can get penetration on these, or we can just leave it in the middle. I find you don't really need penetration when you're shooting that many bullets, so I'm not really going to bother with that. Then we have our howitzer. So this guy is decked out with a lot more weapons. Your basic frame has a shield and an assault rifle. This guy has 2 sets of weapons. So we can add effective radius to it, which would be pretty cool. Or we can increase the fire rate, but it would decrease the effective radius. I think we're just going to leave it for now, and we're going to go head out. So I've had a lot of fun with this game. The controls are very nice. Everything in this game feels very, very responsive, and that's kind of huge for a game like this to me. It does have some kind of bullet hellish aspects. The enemies will shoot a lot at you, and you have to be kind of aware of that and ready to dodge. Now, when you level up, you can get all sorts of things here. Right, I'm going to go for sync rate stabilizer, and that is because I would like to level faster and more. Homing missiles are very good. Actually, I might go with homing missiles. We're going to go with homing missiles real quick, just to start being able to kill. So you can set your other abilities to auto-fire. Mine are on auto-fire right now. Makes it more like a survivor-like or a horde survival kind of game. But you can also manually fire those if you like. And that is useful for, well, things like both of these. Both of these are quite large AoEs, and you might not want to just pop those off randomly. But in that case, it seemed to work out pretty well, and I'm pretty happy about it. I find myself leveling up quite a bit in this game, like pretty quickly, which is odd, frankly. I'm not used to this fast of a leveling speed, but again, I think my headspace in playing this game still kind of puts it in a survivor-like category, which it's not really. It is an arena shooter. It does have a lot of elements that might make you think survivor-like, but it is not. Okay, we can upgrade our howitzer, or we can grab a magnetic field generator, and I think I'm going to grab the magnetic field generator. This basically is the physical version of the other shield that I got in the meta progression, or not the meta progression, the suit setup area, right? So I have the dome shield, and that handles energy, but I just got the, yeah, so I have the particle diffuser, and now I have the magnetic field generator, and so this is for energy, and this is for physical. So we're gonna grab the sync stabilizer, finally. And hopefully we should level even more. And you can kind of hear that. That is the energy shield popping, because I was hit with probably a, like, energy plasma bolt or a stun round, something that would probably not have been great. We're going to keep going sync rate. Now, during the story, these missions will have, I guess, slightly different or more objectives. Usually, I found from the bit of arcade I played on the other level, I have not played this arcade level at all, but the other level of arcade I played, I find that this kind of is just waves of enemies and then bosses so far. Now, obviously, there's only 2 arcade levels. We're not very far into the game. Let's get some turrets going. But that is what I've seen so far. I think the really cool part about this game, too, though, is the mech designs are very nice and very detailed. Like, the game looks very polished. And that's just kind of awesome to see. Because, you know, I think with indie games, its graphics can either come first or second, right? And so sometimes they will look a lot worse, but still have great gameplay and other things. But it is kind of nice to see a very polished looking one. especially with how good it feels. Although I have to say, now that I'm playing on the tank, I do feel quite a bit less responsive than I did on my other frame. That being said, I am noticing the tank factor, and it is working out quite well. And I do quite a bit of damage, so I can't be too mad. However, moving is not as easy as I want it to be. But I am also forgetting to use, like, my dashes and my afterburner and things. So you have afterburners, which is just kind of a... not a dash, it is a sprint. And that will pretty rapidly drain your energy, and then you have dashes as well, just to quickly get out of the way of, say, that guy right there who's about to explode and do me harm. We're going to put some more points into composite armor, as because I'm slower, even with using these dashes, I definitely would like this tanky boy to be even more tanky. Actually, why I went for the turrets specifically is because they can kind of help me cover large portions of the battlefield when I can't move quite as quickly. All right, we're going to go for a little bit more sync rate, and then we're going to start putting a lot more into weapons. I have to say the Howitzer is a little difficult to target when you're playing on controller. I play most of my games on controller, and it makes some top-down things, it makes very evident why, you know, they might be meant to be played with a mouse and keyboard. But I'll never change. At this point, it's just habit. Ooh. Alright. We are going to explode this guy, and let's add some napalm to our arsenal. Napalm is very nice, it just leaves fire on the ground, and when they walk through it, they take a lot of damage. It is very interesting playing without a shield, so I'm really tanky, but the balanced frame you start off with at the beginning just has like a sword and board-esque shield, which is very, very good for avoiding damage, right? A lot of these bullets I'm taking, I would have just decided no on that frame, versus this guy where I'm kind of just like, oh, this is... yeah, I hope I'm tanky enough. Which tells me I'm going to really need to invest in the healing, which I haven't, and maybe that is how I should have built him from the beginning. God, I love that explosion, though. It is so nice. Also, the miniguns. You do so much damage with this dude. The base frame, at most you can get one minigun, and it does rip through some stuff, but it is not like this. This is insane. All right, from now on, I'm going to try to take some healing upgrades. So, you have flares you can release when heat-seeking missiles are locked onto you. They are usually automatically released. I feel like I played the demo a while ago and they weren't automatic then, and that might be changed, or I might just have to look in the settings. But it keeps you safe, so, you know, I'll take it. We're gonna go Drain Nanite. Every 10 kills, I'll get back 10 health, which, I don't know how good that is, considering I have 1,340 health, but we'll see. We'll see if I can get my health back. What I really want to do is start upgrading these turrets, but I haven't seen a lot of it roll. Or if it has, it's been rolling alongside, like, the Gatling and things like that I need to upgrade a little bit more. Alright, turrets. Ooh, we're gonna go for emergency repair, though, because, again, we are stressing staying alive now at this point. Alright, we got a Skyhawk. What is that? The music just changed up. Oh, hello, buddy. You seem a level of dangerous I'm not sure I want to deal with. Alright, let's get out of its range. I'm not trying to deal with getting hit by that. Mostly because I don't think I can. I'm gonna go for another emergency repair charge. Yeah, see, during, like, barrages like that on the other guy, I would have just put up my shield and that would have been fine. This guy just kind of has to take them and hope that he doesn't take too much damage from it. Although I have to say, the animation of the bullets hitting, that looks so sick. All the sparks coming off, that looks awesome. They did a really good job with that. Alright, well, there goes the Skyhawk. So that's pretty nice. I like how this frame definitely makes up for the lack of having a shield with overwhelming firepower. All right, what are we going to go for next? I guess we're going to, yeah, we're going to steer into this defensibility a lot more. Because that made it painfully aware that there's just some things that on this guy I'm probably gonna have to eat. Or just partly because of how I'm controlling things and how bad at games I am. You know, there's that. Alright, what do we got? We're gonna go for more composite armor. Yeah, we're really just gonna steer into the please don't kill me. Mostly because now that the Gatlings are at, I think these are at full, and they're really just shredding things. We're probably gonna go down here though, which is okay. I can show you guys a run with one of the other frames. Or I think they're called Gigantes in this game. Yeah, so far I've been having a lot of fun with this. I want to see what kind of happens in the 1.0 release. I want to see if there are things like maybe visual customization of your mech, like maybe paint colors or something, as well as, you know, what some of the other weapons they're planning on releasing are going to end up looking like. And that's just mostly because I find, for me, half the joy of mech games is the customizing of them, right? It is the making the mech mine. So, how some of the other meta progression works, you have your module upgrades. You can come in here and you spend this yellow currency up top, and you can do things like reinforce your frame to get hull integrity, armor, ballistic resistance. You can come down here and really kind of increase your mobility. That's probably the one I should go for. And over here, you have things that increase your sync cap as well as your sync rate and your nano data. We should probably max out the nano data, since that is the meta progression currency. You have your research lab as well. This is where you would buy new weapons. So most of them come with the new frames you unlock, but you see, you know, there's a shotgun there I could buy. We are going to go back in. We're going to do the desert. So there's basically two kind of biomes right now. There's the desert and there's the, like, destroyed city at the moment. Obviously, as you can see, there's meant to be at the very least 3 more. I'm not sure of their entire scope of this game. You know, there could be even more than that, but at the very least, there should be at 3 more than that. So, let's check what we can do over here. You know what? We're going to overclock core the pulse rifle because the pulse rifle's sick. And we're going to leave the heavy shield on. We're going to go in with this guy. So yeah, you'll see what I was talking about now with the shield. I can block, and let me tell you how much that helps out. Plus, this pulse rifle is awesome. That is one thing I will say. The weapons in this game, I feel like I like the pulse rifle because it has a lot of power, but aside from the pulse rifle and maybe the dual miniguns, I feel like some of the other weapons are lacking in power a bit. And that might just be based on the meta progression and things I have, but I noticed the meta progression for offense was only crit and accuracy, so I don't really know if we're supposed to be able to increase the damage, and if that's the case, I'm kind of wondering what other ways they have of doing that. And I mean, I guess it's kind of a level of you're supposed to be using all of your extra armaments that you unlock during a run, you know? So far, though, with the armaments that you get during a run, that really is where it kind of feels like you should not have things on automatic, I will say. Homing missiles feel really good. Everything else feels okay because it's a lot of AoE, and it will be kind of not arbitrary, but it just happens wherever you're aiming. So what ends up going on is if you're just aiming in one particular direction and you don't know that your skill's about to pop, you could just whiff and like waste the whole thing. So that really, and the game does tell you, it's like, hey, you might not want to put this stuff in automatic. I just did because I'm more of a survivor-like guy, so I kind of wanted it to feel a little bit more like a bullet heaven for me. And it can, but it is an arena shooter through and through. Which is almost kind of a surprise to me how much I like it because of that. I'm usually not much of an arena shooter person, and not that I really have a problem with them, it's just not my standard fare. But this does have enough like bullet heaven survivor like DNA in it that it works for me. All right, let's see if we can get some more offense in a different manner, or I guess defense. But as you notice, this one is much faster than the last guy, and that is really coming out to my advantage. We're gonna go with the pulse rifle. This thing is just too good to not. Yeah, I will say, again, I want the main weapon to feel a little bit better. Maybe... I don't know if I necessarily want it to be stronger, but I don't know, something. It needs something. I mean, I also can make this pulse rifle stronger. I actually made it weaker coming into the match. I just increased the fire rate, but that decreases the damage, so that kind of might just be the specific upgrade I picked, and it might just be on me. It's okay, though. Yeah, no, that is what I like about this game, is the controls feel so smooth and so responsive. And so it really does feel good. It is one of those games where I think every time I've died in it, I very much so have the mentality of, that was my fault and I should have been better. You know, I find a lot of games where, like, you end up getting very angry at dying in it is either a bad mechanic or it's a result of controls not being quite as responsive as you want them to be. So, I think they did a really good job with that, and, you know, that really helps out the game. I also want to see what kind of, if they vary up their enemy designs as the game goes further, but obviously this is like the beginning of early access for it, you know, I can't be asking for too much here. However, so far, I would say it's a fairly fun little early access title. I love it when the kamikaze trucks just go right by me because they're going for my turrets. That is so useful. We're gonna go more for nanites. Jesus. That was a lot of damage I didn't necessarily need to take. Alright, who's this grasshopper fella? Oh, I don't like him. That does in fact look like a grasshopper, and I think I hate it. Alright, we are not in a good spot. I need more offensive things, but I only really have the barrage, the homing missiles. What I need is the nuke. Next time that shows up, I'm gonna grab it. Yes, there is just a giant ballistic missile you can use. And it is fantastic. It just kind of takes an area and says nope. And, you know, there's something beautiful about that. Yes, I'm just wasting meta progression currency to reroll for it. I would very much so like it. Seriously, game? Are you trying it? Okay. Freaking what? Here we go. Tactical ballistic missile. Jesus. That was... don't ever reroll that many times. That was a mix of me really wanting to show you guys this weapon and me really wanting the weapon. Alright, we got our pulse rifle to max, so this should hit harder now, which will be nice. And it definitely is... Okay, it's doing its fair share of the work now. I think they just feel a little underpowered before you get them to max. Yeah, why not just increase the turrets? Turrets are fairly good, but they can get destroyed, and they will get targeted by enemies. So during, like, certain boss fights, I've noticed some bosses will just be like, no, you don't get to do that to me. And they'll just keep denying them. But the nice part about them is, that means the turrets effectively also tank for you quite a bit. I can definitely get behind that. Right, like, I'm all for the indestructible turrets that are non-targetable by enemies in games. Those are great. But it is really nice when the turrets can also provide you some aggro relief when you're fighting a boss. It's actually how I unlocked both of the other frames. You get those from training missions where you're fighting other mech pilots, you know, from your own faction. Boy, those were rough, and then I finally started using the turrets, and they were much, much better. Because they just spent half the time ignoring me and trying to kill my turrets, and then I would just get free damage on them. And meanwhile, the turret's still firing, right? Like, it's not like they're shooting the turret and it's getting staggered or anything. It's still letting loose. We're gonna grab magnetic field generator so that I don't take that slot up with something that I don't want to take that slot up with. Probably should have went with some kind of healing, but... we're here for a good time, not a long time, so it's all right. Let's get close to finishing out our homing missiles. I find they really are kind of... they're my favorite weapon in the game. I don't know if I would call them the best. I just like them because, you know, if you can tell, there's a pattern here of me just being like... I play a lot of Survivor-likes, let's put it in that vein, and since they home, they really do feel that way. The napalm's really good, too. I will say, I do like the napalm. I'm gonna go with a sync stabilizer. Probably should have went with that earlier, but, you know. Alright, let's get that over there. There we go. I got rid of quite a few enemies. And... we can go for the drain nanite. I'll take it. That way we can get some healing in here, because I'm at half health and I don't plan to stay at half health. Although you can really tell how much work the homing missiles do, because every time they fire, I level up. Like that should tell you something. Not that I'm not getting kills with everything else, but like they are clearly hitting their marks and giving me a large boost of XP whenever they fire. See? I'm gonna go for composite armor. I do enjoy the little touches in the desert. Like you can see, like I leave footprints and things, or I guess tracks. I don't really call them footprints because I'm kind of just hovering over the ground and dragging my feet in the sand, but you see where I've been. That blow up. That is the other thing. Turning speed is very important in this game, at least with this particular frame. Because if you're not pointing your shield at what you want to block, guess what? You're not blocking that attack. Oh, I didn't level up that time. Ah, well. It was close. It's very close. Yeah, the napalm's very nice to just get passive damage down. Like, I notice if I put napalm down in a certain area, I won't see enemies come from that area for a little bit. Or if they do, they are hurt enough that it is one shot and I can just turn around and go back to whatever I was doing. Alright, let's go find whoever just shot those missiles at me and make them pay for doing so. I don't know if it was you or if it was you, but both of you are just gonna go away. Tactical ballistic missile. Let's grab that. And definitely that, the healing that I got is definitely working. I'm back up about 300 HP. So we'll take that. Or I guess 300 shields? Yeah, no, I guess that's HP. There's HP, and then there's hull armor, which I think is an entirely different stat. I think it's tick-marked things above the green bar down on my HUD. And you find you get currency per kill in here, which is a very interesting way to do it. So, you know, I'm willing to bet there's going to be some good ways to farm later on. Although, I haven't found anything that, like, increases enemy spawn rate yet. So, that would be interesting. But it also, I guess, right, it's not really that type of game, so we'll see. Because it even does give a level cap, right? Your sync cap is a thing. Alright, let's not get hurt like I am right now, and let's take these guys out. We are doing almost no damage. I don't think this is going to go well. Okay, it looks like it has a shield on the side. Yeah, it has a shield on the side, so you want to shoot it from the front. Very interesting. And it is very good at turning and keeping up with my strafing, so... I just want to get napalm on you. Why are you being so mean about it? And don't say because you're protecting king and country. Oh, okay. I guess now he has a shield on the front, too. So is it just behind? You know what? I'm just going to make him keep running in my napalm, and that's how we're going to kill this guy. I think. I'm genuinely surprised I'm not taking more damage, to be honest with you. Alright. Get that tactical ballistic missile. That did not near... Oh, no, it did a good amount. Okay. I was going to say, not nearly enough, but it did a still scary amount of damage. We still have to take out another one after this, though. That is definitely a no promises from me. Alright, let's... You want to come fight me, you gotta run through my napalm. Let's do that. Oh. Or maybe I just need to be better. Get good, maybe? Yeah, I think it's that. Alright, we're doing quite a good amount of damage to him. It'll be interesting to see some of the bosses when it hits full release. I wonder if they're going to get some more, I guess, kind of crazy things. It is, I will say, it is crazy when you are fighting other mech suits. Those fights are very good. I like them a lot. It's a lot of very fast-paced combat, a lot of... Like, those are the times when you really want that turning radius up and things like that, so you kind of get your shield in position properly. It is very easy to just be out of position for a second in those fights and pay the price for it. Alright, we got him too. Is this just another one? Is this the old one? Why do you look pristine? Okay. We're not gonna argue about that. Yeah, so far I'd say this is definitely a good game for an early access title. It's fun. It has kind of the right bones there. And it'll be really interesting to see what they do upon 1.0 release. Which I definitely will revisit this game when it hits 1.0. Because it is solid. It, again, is not my complete and total cup of tea. Like, I'm not sucked into this game. I don't find myself being like, I need to come back to it. Granted, maybe it's because I've already played, like, 4 hours to unlock all the mechs and everything. Yeah, I don't find myself fully, like, addicted to this game like I do some other roguelites we play on the channel. But it is enjoyable. Oh boy. This is just a waste of a tactical ballistic missile. I really would like that ship, thank you. Like that jet not to shoot me. That's kind of the goal here. Susano, that's not good. Yep, that's why I thought that was not good. Yeah, this is one of the fast ones that I am not the greatest at fighting. Get in my range, do it. Okay, and this is why we have the shield. But as you see, we're not doing too much damage to this guy. It's a lot of our moves seem to be very meant for things staying still, or again, not being on auto fire. That might help us greatly during these fights in particular. And there she goes. All right, well, that has been Gigantes Ex Machina. It's in early access right now. I'll have a link in the description to the Steam page. You can go check it out if you wish. Yeah, I'll definitely be revisiting this one on 1.0. I definitely want to see what they do with the game, kind of where they take it. And yeah. Anyways, I will be back tomorrow with another video. If you got this far, a like and a sub would be very much so appreciated. We're trying to grow the channel right now, and every little bit helps. And yeah, definitely, if you enjoy indie roguelites, if you enjoy survivor likes, if you enjoy any kind of indie roguelike fare, subscribe to the channel. I do a new one every day. It's not always a new one. Sometimes I go back to one when it hits, you know, an important milestone, but most days I do a new one. Anyways, I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace out.